open the Boston Border Trail meeting August 4th at 12:04 p.m. We'll start off with members present and guests, I guess, too.
Jim Dooling.
Sid Rashke.
Sean McElroy.
Sean. David Brohl.
And I'm President Kristen Grubbs, Planning Director.
And Jerry Klima from Coastal Trails.
All right. The first thing, sorry, glasses. First thing is, did people get a chance to review the minutes of last meeting?
Yes.
All right. Do we approve?
Motion to accept.
Awesome. I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okey doke. That's done. And then the Newbury South B2B Trail, Georgetown to Byfield segment updates. I think that goes into Kristen's category.
Great. Thanks. So updated you at the last meeting that we had. We're thrilled to receive a Mass Trails grant for fiscal year 27. So things are underway. John and I attended the acceptance of the award, which was great to meet the staff who support trails across the state. And we have had multiple meetings with folks. We are reviewing a contract from Stantec engineers to continue the scope of work that they laid out that we included in the grant proposal. So there's not a lot of discussion about what the scope of work is. It's just identifying the tasks for 1 year, like the FY27 is a requirement of the grant. So they've modified that a little bit. And then the contract is with town council. So I'm waiting for town council to, finalize the paperwork. We have received the notice to proceed from the Mass Trails program, which is great. So some of the tasks, as I imagine you all remember, are on the town end. We have sort of, the subcontract with Stantec for the engineering piece of it, but we also included in the scope of work tasks related to the municipal responsibilities for right-of-way review. So town council is underway with the preliminary title review, which is what Stantec needs to wrap into their 75% design plans. Their scope of work is to complete 75% designs in the fall, and then 100% design plans by January, which is ambitious because there are some components of like a hydrological analysis for one of the bridges that also needs to happen. But let's see. So town council knows everybody's raring to go. So she is working to get us her review completed as soon as possible. And as soon as we have it, Stantec can be off and running. I've also connected with the state right-of-way team. They have a point person who will be sort of hand-holding the municipality in terms of the tasks related to the title review and the communications with the property owners and all of that. So again, this is just for the Byfield to Georgetown segment, and Newbury is catching up to Georgetown has already started some of this work because they were doing it when they were doing their other segment in Georgetown. So Newbury's catching up on our right-of-way work, title review, and then we'll all be synced up, hopefully, as of this winter.
Who was your MassDOT contact?
Well, Pam Markey and her assistant.
Rosemary?
Let me just check. It's not Rosemary. It is Nikki Peters.
Okay, don't remember. Okay, thanks.
Yep. So I think once, my understanding is at some point, the Nikki Peters will start holding bi-weekly meetings with staff in the town to just, again, keep this sort of right-of-way process, which is quite extensive, moving along. So that will be good. And what else related to that? The Mass Trails grant project manager and the director have been great. They met with Newbury and Georgetown to make sure that, well, to answer my question and the Georgetown planners' question of how exactly to contract with Stantec, because we've had the sort of MOU contract arrangement for the previous work. There was a discussion of whether we could continue to do that. But in fact, because the grant awards went to the separate municipalities, we have to have separate contracts with Stantec. So again, it's really on Stantec to, administer and track their time and charge each town, what they should be. And they're aware of that and comfortable with doing that. So that's kind of what's happened in the last month related to the Newbury South Trail segment. Any questions anybody has? Yeah, it's great. And just briefly, thank you, Sid. I did the final transportation plan that the Merrimack Valley MPO updates every year. And I'm still working to understand that whole sort of administrative process of how the Metropolitan Planning Organization plans and programs federal funding to support regional projects. But the MPO committee approved and published their final 5-year plan. So 2027 to 2031 or 26 to 31. And I looked at it and one page still listed the TIP funding for this project as 2027 and the rest of the approved plan listed as 2029. So I did want to confirm with all of you, because the question regularly gets asked is, when are we on the tip for the construction funding? And it's 2029. So that does seem a while off, but my understanding of this right-of-way work is that it's a reasonable, sort of a year to year and a half. And Jerry and Sid, I'm sure you can attest to the work involved in that will being on 2029 for that construction funding. We're still programmed for it. We still have it. It's still there in front of everybody, but it did get bumped from the last time that plan was updated.
Well, I think that you probably couldn't have made it for the 2027
No.
anyway, so it was inevitable that would happen.
Yeah.
And from being on the coastal trails, to me, because I'm not familiar with this type of funding at all, and it always seems so far away, and then you turn around and there's the trail, so
That's right.
yeah, there it is. It's like how kids grow up fast. Boom. So there's definitely a lot of hope and good news there.
And I do think, not to jump to the one-page sheet for Town Day, but we're going to a deep conversation around it. But there's mention that construction would start in 2027. It's good to create urgency, get involvement, but we may want to think about adjusting that just so we're if it gets in somebody's hands who knows it's 29,
Yeah.
that would be misleading, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Question quick about fiscal year with the Mass Trails grant. We talking Mass fiscal year or Newbury fiscal year, or are they different, or what? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. It's the state's fiscal year is the same as Newbury's, so it's
Okay.
July 1 to June 30. So we will need to determine by winter time, where we are in the project and if we anticipate needing additional grant funding. I've been reassured or advised by the Mass Trails program that they absolutely want to keep the funding coming for projects they're supporting. So we will need to know by the winter whether we have to put in another application for fiscal year 28 to keep the work going.
Okay. But we're in 27 right now, in other words.
We are, yes.
Yeah.
So
And
we
how about-
got our notice to proceed July 22nd. So that's when I engaged town council.
Okay.
And just a reminder that her time and work is also being supported by the Coastal Trails Coalition grant that we got. So that actually, that component of work, I'm getting in the weeds a little bit, but that's going to actually count as match to the match requirement that the Mass Trails grant has. So it's all kind of synced up in a really good way.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
And just to close the circle, the TIP federal grant, that's same. Do they run July to June also?
I don't know exactly. The federal fiscal year is different. It's a September 30th, October 1st year,
okay.
but I don't know, the MVMPO is local, it's regional. So I don't know how the federal funding gets into the state cycle, but we'll figure that out. It's a good question.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
The
Thanks.
the answer is that the federal fiscal year starts, 29 fiscal year will start October 28. And that's what the tip funding is all based on the federal fiscal year. So even though what that means is that they could put this out to bid as early as October 28, and then for construction in spring of 29. That would be the best you could hope for. Okay. So
Thank you. That's
typically they
helpful.
put things to bid in the fall, and then construction starts the next spring. Contractors awarded in January or so. That's what they like to do.
Okay, great. Okay.
Did you have another question, Jerry, or are you
No,
good?
that was it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Newbury North.
So we had our kickoff meeting with Kittleson. All that contracting got completed, and the Kittleson consultant team with Weston and Sampson engineers. They had 3 or 4 people, and then John Reagan, committee co-chair, joined me at that meeting a couple weeks ago. They are underway with the feasibility work. They have a sort of updated timeline that I will, I believe may have shared by email, but I also will get it, make some more updates to our website, which I know is another item we've talked about. So their timeline is starting off with some background pulling together the data that exists, looking at at all the planning that's been done previously for this segment, Byfield to Newburyport, pulling together as I said, the data. So they're in touch with Merrimack Valley Planning Commission with their GIS team to get data pulled in, since the town, all our data is with MyMap. And I believe they are scheduling regular monthly meetings. So I do think John's, interested in continuing. I think if there was one other committee member who wants to join those meetings, we're good. That's sort of the primary planning team. And then we will be, at the next meeting, we're going to be discussing sort of the regional team, like who among all the stakeholders and partners and contacts, like who needs to be sort of in the next tier of information regarding these discussions, as well as scheduling fully public meetings in public places in the library. And those would be, advertised and posted. So essentially, they're moving forward with the scope that we developed in the RFQ originally, and I will keep you all informed. And however anyone's interested in being involved, we welcome it.
Okay.
I think the project team will have monthly meetings, as I might have said. And I think they will be towards the end of the month, so kind of parallel with these committee meetings. So we'll be able to stay. If they have questions, we can, John can bring it back to the rest of you, and I can update you, and then we can bring information back so we can kind of coordinate. That also is quite their schedule for the entire scope of work is 14 months. So it's a pretty fast pace as well for this project.
Krista, I'm happy to sit in on those meetings. I don't know if I'll have much to ask, but I'd be happy to sit in and listen on them. If you want to let me know when they happen.
Great.
Or talk, just to stay abreast of it. Sounds interesting, actually.
Yep. I think another set of yours is great, and I'm sure you'll be able to contribute for sure. Okay. Thank you. I think that's it for that item.
So next thing is Newbury Town Day. I talked to John, and I don't know if you guys, I think that yes, the handout that he is proposing needs to have that date changed. I saw that. I think that we probably all got an idea that the 2027 it would be great, but I don't think it's going to happen. So he asked if Coastal Trails was okay with the handout at the Newbury Town Day, and I'm throwing that out there in the air.
I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. So
I'm happy to share screen now if we want to sort of talk through anything. If so makes sense, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what do you call it? It's pretty basic. But yeah.
Can you see that? It's a one pager, so I'll make it small for a second, then we can. I think what John had mentioned was putting a map on the back.
Yeah.
It's the same one that went out in the email, John.
I don't think Jerry got it. I think that's what.
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. Okay. I got a couple of things I noticed. The title, how wide will the trial be?
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
want to change that.
Little editing.
Yeah, let's avoid a trial if we can. And I know you'll probably want to discuss who's going to maintain the trail, so I'll delay that discussion.
Yeah, he asked Jerry. He asked that question. He said, what happens with the, obviously we don't want to get town involved with it, but he said, what happens if a tree falls or something needs to be cleared off the trail? How do you guys deal with that?
Well, we're in Salisbury and Amesbury, we have an Adopt a Trail program. Coastal Trails has an Adopt a Trail program where we've put up mileposts every 1/10 of a mile. And actually, it's good to specify that in your plan so they get put in as part of the project. Okay. They're 4x6 pressure treated posts, and that are about 40 inches high and about 4 feet from the edge of the trail, typically to allow mowing. And then, somebody in the town has to be responsible for recruiting people to put their advertising or put their names, whatever they want, on the trail. And what we have a donation of $250 a year for each of the posts, and that money is held by Coastal Trails and then is used for trail maintenance and improvement. So in both towns we have separate funds for each town. And recently, I just spent $500 removing a stump in Amesbury and repairing a fence. In Salisbury and Amesbury, mowing was done by volunteers. Well, in Salisbury, it was done by volunteers for years on the original trail. But people get older, and we haven't. The volunteer effort is fading away. So the town is doing more of the maintenance now, the mowing. But we have the fund, so if trees need to be removed, or trees fall and they need to be taken down, and we pay for that. We hire people to do special work. For example, if you have fencing along the trail, the brush will grow up and rapidly cover it. You have to, and this is not easy for us either, but we have to find people, and we have found them from time to time, but they're pretty scarce, who actually can mow on the other side of a fence with a retractable arm. But a lot of replacing broken things, a lot is done by volunteers. Close coordination with the DPW. They get calls. Sometimes if a tree is down, sometimes they do it, and sometimes Coastal Trails does it. But there's a lot of close coordination with what happens on the trail. It is, after all, a town facility, but a lot of it can be taken care of if you can recruit them with volunteers and with this program. But that itself takes effort, because you got to renew things annually and recruit in the beginning. So, but that model is being followed up in New Hampshire as well. And it's worked for us for years. In Salisbury, there's a pretty big kitty accumulated that can do. We can be pretty generous with spending the money, which means the town doesn't have to do it.
Excellent.
So, but that's something that you want to work to get going. During certainly no later than when construction begins. And what is the length for the Byfield section of this trail? 0.6 of a mile?
Yeah, 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah. So there you'd only have 7 signs there. I would be interested to see what Georgetown's going to do as well. I don't know anything about what their plans are. You should coordinate that with Georgetown, on that section anyway.
I was just going to suggest, in terms of wording, it seems like maybe for the purposes of this brochure, we could be a little general about it, and because I think when you ask that question, I think maybe the question that's in people's mind is, are my taxes going up, kind of thing.
Right.
So, I mean, if we put something in that says a coalition of volunteers, sponsors, area partners, the town, put that in there, and residents, sure, why not? Kind of at least puts it in perspective, and it says, okay, we're thinking about it. We do have resources, and no, we're not going to send you a bill. So that kind of thing.
I'm not sure there's going to be a public hearing on the 75% plan. Have you had a 25% design hearing, right?
Yeah,
Did they tell you they were going to hold another hearing?
I haven't heard that, but I don't know. I mean, if it's not customary, it's not in the plans, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, typically the only hearing is at 25. It can be, they can have another one, but in some cases they have multiple ones. But if nothing has been, you haven't been told that, don't say it.
Yeah.
Good point.
For the maintenance, we also, very briefly batted around some kind of friends group, possibly, that could be formed or not.
Oh,
Just
Yeah, I
noting
think
that- just
I think
noting.
it's good. I think it's a good idea.
But I think I agree with what Sean's saying about being
For
general.
example, if you had a friends group, Coastal Trails would be happy to keep the money, write the check. They wouldn't have to form a separate nonprofit. I'm sure we would be happy to work with them on that,
Mhm.
So
Oh,
think about that. You don't need a formal, but you
Sort
do
of
you need somebody who's an organizer and is very energetic.
Right. Good point.
I think a lot of people don't realize that Newbury from day one has been part of the Coastal Trails Coalition.
Right.
And so all the organizational things, the filing, everything you need to do, the board of directors and so on, is like a one-stop shop. And then each town tries to raise funds for the CTC, and also it receives grants from the CTC.
Yeah, we've given a lot of grants for lots of different purposes. Related to the trail, both to help build it, to support right-of-way work, to install improvements. We've supported all of the nice things in Newburyport. We've supported a lot of those. So, that's something that can be, thought about.
I do wonder above the maintenance, there's the question around what are the costs of the project, which obviously Coastal Trails is listed there along with the others.
I think you hit the mute button, Jim.
Sorry about that. I do wonder if we want to be explicit around saying this is not, your taxes will not be funding this.
Well, I think I'd be careful about discounting that. We may, let's leave our options.
Well,
open.
the construction costs are 100% paid for through MVMPO. So you could certainly say that.
Right.
And the construction costs are currently estimated for this whole segment is, did you have I don't have the number in my head, but it's multi-millions. So.
Yeah, I think it's more than 2 million.
Costs are estimated at approximately X, and that will all be paid by federal and state funds.
Yeah, I think we want to be fully clear on that, just to avoid
Yeah.
getting lumped into another, big project in town.
Right, that paragraph leaves out a few other funding sources like the federal that Jerry just mentioned. And, there are other groups besides just the ones listed. I mean, some give away smaller amounts, but maybe we don't. Maybe we just have a general statement, that the funding is coming from other sources, or just leave it out altogether at this point because, or just list who has funded everything up to this point would be a good idea. Maybe just, something like that.
Just Dave, is it John who, I only have a PDF of this document. John created it. So
Yes.
we can just give him edits to make directly. Okay.
Yeah. And if not, I could always, he's in New Hampshire and he said, I think they were on vacation. Yeah, if not, maybe he has, if it's not on a PDF, if he has some way that we can change it, ourselves, that would be great. But yeah.
Okay.
Also, to Jerry's point on what can I do to help there, it says that we're going to have public hearings when Newbury South attains that 75% design completion. If they don't actually have that meeting, maybe that'd be a good place for us to say, we could certainly commit to having a public meeting at some point in the future here to invite people in to look to see how things are going, right?
Yeah, I think I know John suggested, we've talked before, this committee's talked before about regular updates with the select board. So I think you've been doing that so far and we'll continue to do that. I do know that it's kind of a segue, but the next select board meeting, which is next week from today, they have on the agenda an acceptance of the Mass Trails grant, which happens with any grant award that the town receives. So I've asked the select board, the administrative town administrator and administrative assistant, if the committee can provide an update to the select board as part of that grant award acceptance. So anyway, regular updates to the select board, I think, could be said if we wanted, but also, I think we've talked previously about public meetings that are outside of this committee, but just, held at the library, not a committee meeting or a board meeting, just open to the public. So there could be this could be edited to say, get involved, sign up for our email list to receive regular updates. There will be public meetings scheduled in the year ahead, something general.
Right.
Or we could take my wording from the end of I don't know if you saw what I had sent, but so the whole purpose of my handout, I thought I was supposed to be writing it. I had no idea that he was doing that. Otherwise I wouldn't have. However, but this might be a good opportunity. I think and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for the town of Newbury at this point, they need to get enthusiastic about the project because we're going to need people to help maintain the trail, participate in fundraisers, et cetera. I think this is the time to get people enthusiastic about it. So that's why I thought one way to do it is to point out to them, this is the largest unfinished segment of this entire trail from the border to Boston. And just to let people know that it's important, and it's a cool thing that Newbury is on the East Coast Greenway. And then I list the ways that they can help without being specific about town meetings and things like that. Let's see, what have I said? At the very end. Yeah, so that was the purpose of my handout, which we can always have both. I think they complement each other, in my opinion. Because this is more of an overall picture. And then if we did include that last paragraph, oh, there it is, among the ways you can help, we can put the Newbury specific contact information, list that first. So that there's both emails, or actually, I think, yeah, I've just listed the website. So that we can add what, we can still leave coastal trails, because Elizabeth is adding, I don't know if any of you had time to review her page. We don't necessarily need to do that immediately, but so I'd leave all that in there and maybe add whatever whatever he had that was pertinent for the help part.
That sounds great to me. I think they do complement each other, and I really like the broader context that you've put into this flyer.
I'm just surprised. I have so many, I'm blessed to have so many very dedicated cyclists that do 50-mile rides, 100-mile rides, and they're very, very interested in, they love our local trails, but they were shocked when I told them about the East Coast Greenway. They had no idea. So I think it's a real, it points out how important this trail is beyond our town. And potentially how unfortunate it would be that we don't have groups like this one that support getting the funds and the designs and construction, et cetera.
Well, Coastal Trails has, Newbury representatives, including Sid. And so we're very supportive of, and have been from the beginning of all this. So I think that's clear. There's not a 19-mile segment though. There's a 6 or 7 mile segment in Newbury, Georgetown, and Boxford. So
the 19-mile would have to be pared down to just the Newbury section. Is that what you're saying, Jerry? So what would it be? Say 7 mile?
And maybe you could say whatever the number is in Bach from. I probably can find it. It's Boxford, Georgetown, Newbury is missing.
That's the 19. Okay,
that's not 19 though. That's probably about 7 or 8.
Okay, so I got that from Essex Heritage. So they were. So I might have taken that out of context.
Right.
So we could just simply say one of the largest stretches. That's all we have to say. It's one of the largest stretches.
That's fine.
So yeah, Essex Heritage might be thinking of the entire trail from the border.
When they originally
to
thinking
Boston.
about it was 19 miles from the border all the way through Danvers. But the section from Danvers north through Topsfield is now completed. And so what's missing is Boxford, Georgetown, and Newbury.
Georgetown, Newbury, yeah.
Newbury
and the East Coast Greenway, if I understand.
Complete.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, the East Coast Greenway it's sort of a federal program covering everything from the Canada border to the Florida Keys.
It's a separate nonprofit. It's not a federal program.
Completely separate.
Right.
All the states, how many are there?
Okay.
13 or 16. They've all the states agreed to participate.
Okay, so it's a nonprofit that is hooking up all of these state pathways to connect the East Coast.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't real clear to me when I was reading that how they fit into this, but okay. All right.
And the Essex Heritage is working to get the Essex County portions finished.
Right. And East Coast Greenway is very active. The former president of East Coast Greenway has been the chairman of Essex Heritage, so and lives in Topsfield. So we have a
Right.
strong help from them. They don't provide money, but they provide a lot of oomph in terms of lobbying and
Right. They help the process.
yeah, they really help the process.
The Essex Heritage like blurb is the Board of Boston Trails, a 70-mile shared use trail that links approximately 20 communities from the New Hampshire border to Boston. And I
Okay.
don't know. I can probably dig a little if we want to find the distance of the the broken link distance, but I think we can probably just.
Right. I lifted that and it probably included Boxford and Georgetown. Why don't we just say one of the largest stretches?
Yeah.
And also the 70-mile stretch, I think, includes trails that, from there's one that goes out to Marblehead, and there are several in Salisbury and etc. They all kind of join up, but they're in the Ghost Trail and things like that. So there's a bunch of trails that all interconnect, and they may add up to 70 miles, but you know what I'm saying? It's not 70 miles
Yeah.
from the border to Boston. It's
The meandering
Yeah.
trail.
Feels like
Yeah,
it.
well, actually, it probably is if you have to bike it now, but yeah, that's a different story.
Right.
Uh,
I hope we will have time to talk about who's going to be at the booth, because I don't know if you remember, I am driving home from Long Island that day, and I'm going to try to get here as soon as I can. I know, Jerry, you're going to start the table and get that organized.
Yeah.
You're bringing maps.
What's the timing? 10?
1.
What's the start? The start is at 1? Well,
What time should we be there?
Kristen?
I haven't been involved in the planning on it at all. I apologize.
It
But
doesn't. It
Yeah,
started.
John is
One-
fully involved.
Yeah.
It's 1 to 7. Is that correct?
Yes. I know that's correct.
Yeah, 1 to 7. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think I can arrive at 3.
And I'll be there from 1 to 3 for sure. Okay.
And John will be there
I'll be
all
there.
day.
Oh, John's going to be there all day. Oh, great. Good.
I think so.
And I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there most of the day too. So
Oh, wonderful.
I'll be there at least at 1, and we'll see how things go in the afternoon.
And I have the clipboard, pens, and sign-up sheet that goes with my handout. So, so I think it's okay to have both handouts, because they tell 2 very important pieces about the project: the nuts and bolts that he did, and then the cultural importance of this project.
And I'll have Coastal Trails brochures that show the whole trail network.
So are you going to have a stack of maps like we usually have?
Well, the brochures have a new map.
The maps, because those are a real drawing point.
Right.
So who can I give? I don't leave until Tuesday. So where can I drop off the clipboard and the sign-up sheet and pens to put at the table?
So you can leave them with me, Sid.
Okay.
I'll
And then
take care of it.
I think it's too early to do it for Town Day unless we get some enthusiastic people. But here's the hat. We were talking about the merchandise. Well, here's our Coastal Trails hat. Can we still order these, Jerry?
I have a lot of them. We can sell them if the people want to buy them.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
I'll bring a supply.
okay. How much are they?
Well, we typically give one free with a donation of $125, but
Right.
we're going to sell them maybe $20, 25, I don't know. The cost to us is about 15. We could talk about that.
That'd be great. If it's a hot day, you might attract some people needing a cap.
Okay.
I'm sorry I'm not in town that weekend. But I do know John's been keeping me updated, and thank you, all of you who are able to attend.
Yeah, pleasure. How many copies of so do you have everything you need, Kristen, to print our handouts once you get the original version from John so they can be edited?
I'm happy to print them here. We have a color printer right down the hall.
Yeah, because
So what are we? 50? I don't know. Do we have a number?
Yeah, 50 sounds fine.
yeah, I think that's good. And they can always be reused.
I'll text John right after the meeting ends and see if he can send a document that can be changed and edited.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'm here all next week, so we'll be able to. Right? It's a week. It's not this Saturday.
No.
Okay,
no.
we got a week and a
Sure.
half. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, Kristen, if it makes sense to everyone, well, John will probably want to pick up his flyers, but I can pick up mine and give it to Sean along with the sign-up sheet and the pens. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure. If it's easier, you could just bring everything here, and then Sean, you can
That's up
walk
to
over.
Sean.
Whatever's easier. Yeah. We can coordinate.
Yeah.
All right, we'll
We'll
coordinate.
get it done.
Okay.
You're closed Fridays, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
So we got to be a little careful about that. I've been burned by that before. Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people have been dropping stuff off for Robin, who's coordinating the whole day, like other, Greenbelt and Appalachian Mountain Club. I know she's gathering up a lot of materials, so
Cool.
happy to assist that. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of good information and sharing, and really good projects being celebrated. So it's an awesome event.
I'll bring a table and a couple of chairs. I don't have a pop-up tent. I don't know. There's probably no general tent, is there?
I don't know that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So we can ask John those sorts of questions. Is that?
Yeah, let's talk together. Good.
All righty.
Great. Thank you so much for all that work.
Did we plan on a date for next meeting? I think it was like September 3rd, might be a Thursday or Tuesday or something. I don't know. I just looked at it.
Okay.
Well, Tuesday is voting day, I think, is primary.
Okay, so I got September. It's a Thursday. I don't know if that's a bad time or what.
I think the original date was the last Thursday, which was August 27th.
Okay. So if you want,
we
could do the last Thursday, which would be the 24th of September.
Do you want to not have the meeting at the end of August? Is that what you're saying?
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What am I saying? Yeah. That's why I was going early, but yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll do, if that's possible. What is the 27th of August?
Yeah.
I'm out of town. I am here on September 3rd. Not that I necessarily need to be present.
Is there,
September 3rd would work. I mean,
Yep.
there's
It's fine
no,
with me.
there's no like need to stick with the last week versus the first week, or, I think
Yeah.
monthly meetings. And
Yep.
I do think meeting before the end of September will be good because we'll have some updates on the Newbury North project in particular by then. So,
Yeah. So let's plan on September 3rd at noon.
Okay,
sound good for everybody? Yeah. Okay,
sounds good.
great.
Yep.
I will send out
Um,
a calendar hold for that.
Great.
Excellent. And
uh,
I'll
Did we
I'll
want to
contact
go?
John right now.
I know we're getting late. Did we want to talk about the logo design at all?
Probably
Or
should wait
Do you
till
want to put that off till
September 3rd.
September?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do September 3rd. Awesome.
Okay,
All right. Do you want to call the meeting now at 12:56?
Sure. Let's do it.
I can make a motion to close the meeting at 12:56. And we'll see you guys September 3rd.
Thank you.
All right.
okay,
Great.
great. Thank you.